All right, I got it to work.
Sweet.
And we are right at noon, so I'm going to start the webinar. All right, Drew, you should be good to go.
Great. Thank you, Christopher. All right. Hello, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and get us started. We're here to talk about education abroad programs in Oceania. My name is Drew Doty. You see him, his pronouns, Education Abroad Coordinator in the Office of International Programs. This session is being moderated by Christopher Snodgrass, who's also an Education Abroad Coordinator. As we move through the slides of this presentation, if you have questions, please feel free to drop them into the Q&A box in your screen, and we'll be sure to get to those. Either Christopher will answer them directly or he'll post them to the group and we can answer them here live. I'm going to get us started off by reading the CSU land acknowledgement. Colorado State University acknowledges with respect that the land we are on today is the traditional and ancestral homelands of the Arapaho, Cheyenne, and Ute nations and peoples. This was also a site of trade, gathering, and healing for numerous other native tribes. We recognize the indigenous peoples as original stewards of this land and all the relatives within it. As these words of acknowledgement are spoken and heard, the ties nations have to their traditional homelands are renewed and reaffirmed. CSU is founded as a land-grant institution, and we accept that our mission must encompass access to education and inclusion. And significantly, that our founding came at a dire cost to the native nations and peoples whose land this university was built upon. This acknowledgement is the education and inclusion we must practice in recognizing our institutional history, responsibility, and commitment. All right, as I mentioned, my name is Drew Doty. You see him, his pronouns. As an education abroad coordinator for the Office of International Programs, I advise regionally for programs in Oceania, which is Australia, New Zealand, South Pacific Island nations. I also share advising for Spain and Portugal with my colleague Nicole Pawlowski. And then I have a portfolio of about 15 faculty-led programs here at CSU. And then I also lead up our Scholarships and Access working group, specifically working on a lot of the scholarships that are available for education abroad programs. All right. I know that there must be a few myths lingering out there in the crowd around education abroad. One big one that we hear all the time, students don't believe that education abroad can keep you on track to graduate, which in fact, this is not true. With proper planning, specifically around your academics, if you plan early enough and well enough, we definitely can find a program for you that's going to keep you on track to graduate. In some cases, you may even still be able to graduate early. A lot of students think that education abroad programs are going to be too expensive for them, that it is way more than the cost of attending CSU here in Fort Collins. While that can be true, there are certainly programs out there that are significantly more than the cost of attending CSU here in Fort Collins. We have several programs that are as expensive or even in some cases less expensive than attending CSU in Fort Collins. Lastly, we have a lot of students are worried that they can't fulfill their course requirements either for their major or their minor or their general education requirements by going abroad. And that's not true either. Almost all of the programs offered through our office offer you the ability to stay on track to graduate as long as it's going to fit your, kind of area of discipline. And then, thinking of COVID-19, especially, we do have a full risk management team that helps support our students while they're abroad. So while there may be some risk associated with education abroad, we have a full team of experts who are constantly monitoring several different sites to make sure that our students are staying safe and are going to have a great experience in time abroad. All right, so as I mentioned, the region of Oceania is namely made up of Australia, New Zealand, and then the South Pacific Island nations. For the purpose of our office, however, the South Pacific Island nations are kind of limited to Samoa and Fiji. As you can see from this graph here, in the past 5 years, Australia and New Zealand really take the cake when it comes to the number of RAMs that have gone abroad to these countries. We've had about 2 students go to Samoa and Fiji. For New Zealand, we've had about 200. For Australia, it's about 178. Realizing these numbers are a little bit skewed given the pandemic that we've had, which has shut Australia and New Zealand down for about the past year and a half. We're hoping that next fall we'll be able to resume programming in these countries. So why study in Oceania? Well, for the most part, many of the countries here are English speaking predominantly, and even of the South Pacific Island nations, English is still widely spoken, even if it's a second language. We have several exchange programs which make it accessible for students who use GI Bill benefits. And we also have a plethora of options for students in the STEM fields. And I mean all the STEM fields, from engineering, computer science, to the natural sciences, biology, chemistry, human dimensions, natural resources, things like that. These countries are located in the Southern Hemisphere. So this can be a benefit for some students. The terms are going to be the opposite of here in the United States. So if you're going to go, for example, if you were to go abroad in the fall semester, you're actually joining Australia or New Zealand's spring semester, and vice versa for our spring would also be their fall. If you're a student who really wants to travel around and travel as much as possible, you're going to have great and affordable access to Southeast Asia. And lastly, this really is the outdoor enthusiast playground. The amount of outdoor recreation sites that are world-renowned in this region is incredible. From Australia to New Zealand, even the South Pacific, they have some of the most biodiverse areas on Earth. Yeah, I'll leave it there. I know we've got some folks in the crowd who are going to be really passionate about outdoor recreation. All right, so I'm going to start talking to you about some of the exchange programs in our region first. These are CSU-sponsored opportunities at universities abroad. First one I want to talk to you about is Macquarie University. It's actually just outside of Sydney, Australia, in the suburb called North Ryde. About 30 to 40 minutes drive or by train to get to Sydney downtown. Macquarie University is one of the largest universities in Australia. They've got about 40,000 students. And as such, sort of similar to here at CSU, you're going to find course offerings in just about everything. Definitely have options for STEM majors, but liberal arts are going to find plenty of courses here as well. This is really just a large university with coursework for just about everyone. If you're interested in being in Sydney, this can be a great option for you. Sydney's kind of like the LA of Australia. It's a huge multicultural hub. It's going to give you great access to other parts of the country if you're interested in touring around Australia, things like that. The next one I want to talk about is the University of South Australia. This is another exchange program. It's located in Adelaide, Australia, which is the capital of the South Australia state. University of South Australia is an urban campus, which makes it a little more unique compared to some of our other programs that we offer in this region. And what I mean by an urban campus is, when you think of CSU's campus, we have this beautiful centralized campus where all the academic buildings are more or less within walking, biking distance of each other, with big green spaces that kind of unite all of them. University of South Australia is going to be different in that it is located in the city. And so your academic buildings are going to be located throughout the city. So you may not have one defined campus, but rather you're going to commute throughout the city for your different courses. The nice thing is Adelaide has phenomenal public transportation. It's known as the 20-minute city because it takes about 20 minutes to get just about anywhere, or at most 20 minutes, excuse me. It's also located right on the coast. So if you're really interested in being near the beach, having access to the coastlines, things like that, there's huge parks everywhere. It's going to be a great program for you. Really reputable for STEM majors here. So engineering, biomedical sciences, architecture, landscape architecture, you're all going to find plenty of coursework at UniSA. The last program in Australia I want to talk about, it's certainly not the least, is the University of Tasmania. It's located in Hobart, Tasmania. Tasmania is the island state off the southern coast of Australia. If you look at a map, Tasmania is in the same latitude as the South Island of New Zealand. And geographically, when you look at kind of the natural landscape of Tasmania, it looks and feels very similar to New Zealand. So if you're a student who is maybe torn between going to Australia or New Zealand for a semester, this University of Tasmania should be top of your list. It kind of combines the best of both. You are on an island, so being able to travel around and see a lot and do a lot is fairly easy. This is going to be a great program for a lot of our natural resource students, College of Ag Science students. There are some liberal arts programs, coursework available here as well. Again, if you are into the outdoors and you're kind of torn between Australia and New Zealand, this is probably going to be one of the best fits for you. We've had several students while at the University of Tasmania for a semester email our office asking if they can extend for a second semester because they love it so much and they didn't expect to. Next program, we're going to move over to New Zealand. This is Lincoln University. Lincoln is located about 25 minutes outside of Christchurch on the southern island of New Zealand. Southern Island tends to be a little more rural compared to the North Island. It's where a lot of the large glaciers, fjords, rivers, huge mountain peaks are. Of course, plenty of coastline being an island nation. So if you, again, are into the outdoor recreation scene, Lincoln University could be a great fit. This is a really popular program for our students in the College of Agricultural Science, as well as students from Warner College of Natural Resources. Lincoln is also one of our oldest partnerships in the Education Abroad office. We've been working with them for over 24 years now. And a really unique thing about this, it is an exchange program. However, in the spring semesters, we send a faculty member from the College of Agricultural Science here at CSU to go live in residence at Lincoln. And we tend to see a much larger cohort of students from CSU attend Lincoln during that term. So where you might have anywhere from 5 to 10 for a fall semester, you're going to see upwards, 25 to 40 for the spring semester, just because you do have that added layer of support having a faculty member there. All right. The other program I want to talk about in New Zealand is Massey University, another phenomenal option. Probably a wider range of course offerings at Massey than at Lincoln. While it is still strong with the STEM majors, they do offer more coursework for some of our liberal arts students, specifically around communication and marketing, ethnic studies, things like that, as well as some engineering coursework, computer science, things like that. Probably the most unique thing about Massey is there's actually 3 campuses that you get to choose from. You can either choose to study in Auckland, which is the largest city in New Zealand on the north coast of the North Island. Then there's the Palmerston North Campus, which is right in the middle of the North Island. This is actually their largest campus. The most students attend this one, and it's also in its most rural setting. And then you have Wellington campus, which is on the south coast of the South Island, south coast of the North Island. So Massey University is on the North Island, Lincoln University is on the South Island. Again, plenty of course offerings here. I want to pause for a moment because the past 5 programs that I've discussed with you are all exchange programs. They're going to work really well for students on GI Bill benefits. I also need to pause for a moment because currently the borders are closed for both Australia and New Zealand through spring of 2022. This is because of COVID-19. The local governments have just maintained their borders being closed to international travel. We're hopeful that they will reopen in time for fall 22 programming to commence. So if you're interested in any one of these programs, please feel free to reach out to me at any time. I'm more than happy to keep you posted as to where we're at with border reopenings and kind of what to expect. And we'll be really honest with you, if there's a chance that borders won't reopen in time for fall programming to commence, I'm going to let you know, and I'm going to let you know as soon as I have that indication. All right, I'm going to keep trucking along. Next program I want to talk about, we're going to move into, these are affiliate programs. So our affiliate providers are kind of third-party companies that open up opportunities around the world where maybe CSU doesn't have a direct partnership. This first one I want to talk about is the SIT, Social and Environmental Change in Samoa. A phenomenal field-based program. If you're interested in going to this region of the world, this program is unique in that while you'll be based in Samoa, you'll actually have field excursions out to Fiji and some of the other South Pacific Island nations during your semester with them. There's a fixed curriculum that's based on the theme of the program, so social and environmental change. You will have the opportunity to live in homestays. You'll be in different group housing. SIT is unique in that it is entirely experiential based. So you're not going to spend a ton of time in a formal classroom. You'll actually be out in the field learning by doing. Really strong programming. SIT is kind of known in the world of education abroad as being one of the best providers for that field-based learning. And it is just a phenomenal opportunity. If you're interested in the South Pacific at all, I'd highly encourage you to consider this program. The next one I want to talk about, this is actually a summer offering through our affiliate provider, SFS, which stands for the School for Field Studies. Highly research-based. This program is super unique because over the summer term, you'll have the opportunity to study rainforest ecology in both New Zealand and Australia. So you actually start in New Zealand and then you head to Australia for the second half of your term. And then some students will choose to stay on for the summer 2 session, which essentially just extends their time in Australia, where they can bring in kind of a comparison of rainforest ecology with reef ecology. So like coral reef ecology, you can compare the two. Another field-based program. So again, not a lot of time spent in a formal classroom setting. You're going to be out conducting research, learning how to conduct research, and getting that hands-on experience with it over the summer term. Great for students who are in the natural resources, especially if you're looking for a summer program. I am going to pause really quickly just because both SIT and SFS tend to be really expensive in this region. With SIT, I did want to point out there is significant scholarship funding for those programs, up to $5,000 if you apply through the Education Abroad Common Scholarship application. And then additional scholarships are available through SIT that you can apply for, and they do match Pell Grants. So if you're a student who receives the federal Pell Grant, you can get that matched through SAT as well. All right, as you prepare for your education abroad experience, It's kind of three main people that you're going to work with before you head out on your adventure. One being your CSU Education Abroad Coordinator. That's someone like myself. If you're going in to study abroad in Oceania, that's going to be me. If you're going to be elsewhere in the world, it may be someone else in our office, and I'll show you them in just a moment. You're also going to work closely with your academic advisor or academic success coordinator, as well as either your program coordinator or your CSU faculty member who might be leading the program that you're going on. In our office, like I mentioned, I oversee programs in Oceania as well as Spain and Portugal. However, if you're looking at programs elsewhere in the world, you may work with any one of these people listed here. We all kind of regionally specialize. And then those of us with faculty-led programs, we kind of have our toes in every country around the world. If you're a student who uses financial aid and you want to know if you can use it to go abroad, well, good news. Most likely, yes. The majority of your scholarships, loans, and grants can be used to pay for your EA experience. I highly recommend you reach out to our financial aid advisors, either Cindy Maris or Evelyn Martinez. They specialize in financial aid for education abroad. They can meet with you, pull up your financial aid profile, let you know what will travel with you, what can't, and they can talk to you about some options for filling in any gaps that you may have. If you have specific questions for them, you can always reach out to them at the email address listed here, specialprograms@colostate.edu. You can also schedule an appointment with them by going to our Education Abroad website and clicking the Contact Us page. It'll schedule you through the Navigate system, just like you would schedule an appointment with one of us. Additionally, if you're interested in applying for scholarships for your EA experience, we have several that we house in our office, and we've made it really easy for you. There's just one application. We've got both need and merit-based scholarships available. You can see here listed the deadlines that are coming up for these programs. If you're looking at scholarships for a program in Oceania, most likely that means you're going to be looking for scholarships to a program that starts next fall, given the border closures, which means you should be paying close attention to that April 1st deadline. So if you're going to be going abroad next fall or anytime thereafter, April 1st or October 1st are the deadlines you want to keep in mind for that. And you can learn more information on our website under the Start Here page. All right, so from here, the next steps for you: meet with your academic advisor, try to plan out the classes that you need from now until when you graduate to stay on track to graduate on time. Once you know the term that you want to go abroad and the classes that you need to take during that term, click the Start Here page on our website and you can start looking for programs that you think are going to spark your interest, might work for you academically. When you find a few programs that you think are really interesting, you can schedule an appointment to meet with someone in our office. We're more than happy to help you kind of refine your search in that way. You can also make an appointment with a financial aid counselor for education abroad. And then when the time comes, apply for your program and apply for scholarships. All right, I know I'm coming right up on time, but are there any questions lingering out there?
Apparently do not have any questions, Drew. I think you did a really great job sending it.
Awesome.
Last questions come in.
No worries. Just let me know if any come in. I just can't see them on my end, unfortunately.
We'll give about one more minute. If you have any lingering questions, go ahead and post them. And Drew,
Yep.
We wrap up.
While we're waiting, I just want to let you know Education Abroad Fair is happening all this week. So a couple things to highlight. We are going to have an EA Education Abroad 101 every day at 9 a.m. We're also doing a financial aid and scholarship session at 9:30 a.m. every day. We've also got several other sessions that highlight some of our affiliate providers, some of programs that are recommended for specific colleges too. Take a look at our website if you're interested to see what other sessions are available, and you can register today.
All right, Drew, I'm still not seeing any questions come in, so I think we're good to wrap up.
Great. Sounds good. Thanks, Christopher. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Please reach out if you have any additional questions. Take care.